Hey everybody, welcome to Keller Bear as a podcast based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. I am Michael, and as usual, I'm joined by Stacy, Trey, and Sean. This is the podcast where each episode we take a topic and go around the horn giving opinions you didn't ask for. This episode, we're talking movies, specifically of the drama genre, which is as we have talked before this, is kind of can be a catch-all genre. A lot of things are you can consider dramatic. Did y'all have a problem with this? Do you have any like stipulations about what you chose in terms of dramas, of what is and isn't a drama?
I lean more into like mine was pretty broad and I mean I to the point of like, you know, crime dramas. Occasionally I would even maybe consider like a movie that might be considered a black comedy or a dark comedy to be a dramatic in nature. But for the most part, my kind of baseline was, is a movie more or less comedic in nature? Are there more comedic elements in a movie than not? And if there are, then that's not a drama in my mind.
You mentioned crime dramas, and I should specifically say that I made the choice to not include crime dramas just to not do that, because there's a ton, and honestly part of me thinks that could be its own thing. So my list has no crime dramas, but there are definitely a lot of crime dramas that would appear on my list if I were.
I went real broad strokes. Basically anything that I felt like had a heaviness to it, had a weightiness to it. As long as, kind of like what Sean said, as long as the drama, the heaviness outweighed any sort of comedic feature. I don't think there's anything on my list that would even begin to have comedic feature to it. Maybe one, but they're all, I mean, I went, it's, as long as it's heavy and had a lot of weight to it and something you know, sort of stirred something inside of you, I went pretty broad strokes: drama, crime, action, suspense, all sorts of stuff.
Me too. Romance.
Yeah, romantic drama.
Yeah.
I didn't pick anything that was like too action heavy or anything that was like sci-fi-ish. And I definitely looked 50 times to make sure it was actually a drama, and then doubted every single thing I picked. So
nothing else, just search it on Wikipedia and see if it describes it as dramatic in any way at the beginning.
Well, I swear, I mean, like I did the same thing for some of these, and some of them, I mean, it's something completely different anywhere you look, you know?
Yeah.
There was a couple that I did search to look for that title on Wikipedia, and it didn't say drama specifically. I was like, man, I don't care. I think it's dramatic. I'm going to include it.
Do y'all feel like you watch a lot of dramas?
Yes. I don't think I watch a lot of like standard dramas. Like if I think about like, I don't know, Gone with the Wind or I guess Shawshank or something like that, where it's like, that's kind of what I have in my head as like Schindler's List, as like your kind of historically known as dramas, or some of the best dramas. And those are what I have in my head. And that's one of the reasons I think I went so broad, is because I don't think I watch a lot of those. I think I watch some of if I know it's going to be good, if it's been nominated by, for a ton of awards or everyone's talking about it, I'll watch it. But I feel like that's one a year. So to answer your question, I don't think I watch a ton.
I watch a lot. Movies, I prefer longer and more heavier, more dramatic type stuff. And then TV, I prefer more like situational comedy type stuff. So I tend to gravitate more towards dramatic movies than I do comedic movies. And I try to watch as many as I can that come out when they come out.
Yeah, I only ask because I feel like I often, and Trey, I would not put you in this, but I would say like a lot of times people I know, the movies that they have not seen that I've seen are usually dramas, I feel like. And I've actually heard people, and I kind of understand this, of just being like, man, like I don't need drama. Like I don't need that. Like when I watch something, like I don't necessarily want to feel sad. I don't want to feel like intense emotion, like all this kind of stuff. And so me being a 4, I don't understand that, because I'm like, it's like swimming.
I like to swim in that discomfort. I enjoy it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It feels good.
It does.
But
Do y'all consider horror movies dramatic, or is that completely its own separate thing? Like, is it comedy and drama and then subgenres?
I mean, I think you can make a case for all genres being dramatic. And I do think there are some horror movies that I would, especially lately, that I would consider dramatic, because like you said, I would consider like, oh, this is heady, and like this is, and it's heavy, and like it's about something. And so, yeah, I think so.
The only reason I say this is because I watch a lot of these types of movies, but I watch them alone because Becca hates them. But she loves horror movies. So I like to swim in that discomfort, that heaviness. But oftentimes I don't love horror movies because I'm easily spooked. I am an infant child when it comes to horror movies. But the only way I can get Becca to watch them is if we watch, especially, growing up, Pentecostal evangelical, especially when we get into the spiritual warfare type movies. And Becca's like, oh yeah, I'm so into this. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be great. Don't move. I'm not joking. When we watch movies like that and I have to get up and go to the bathroom, I make my dog go with me. Not kidding.
See, it's funny. I have a different reaction to a lot of, if a movie like involves demons, so like The Conjuring, like I watched that a while back, like years ago, whenever it came out, and like everybody was like saying this is really good and it's really whatever, and I was like, all right, like I'm gonna watch it. And because of my evangelical upbringing, when it's like demons and stuff, I'm just like, because, and I think it's because I know that there are people, I know that there are youth ministers out there watching this movie going, yeah, how could I show this to my kids so they can see? How can I do it? How can I show them that the devil wants to get them? And I think that's why those are a lot of times those are a turnoff, unless they're saying something interesting about faith with it. Because I think like something like The Exorcist, I think that has a lot of very interesting things to say about what faith is and all that kind of stuff, and the nature of evil too. And it uses the demon story as a way to do that. And I guess I didn't pick up on that with The Conjuring when I watched it, but.
Yeah, I take a much more literal approach of, I was always taught that those kind of movies were basically gateway drugs to the to the devil inhabiting your life. So every time I watch them, I'll look it back. I was like, I don't even know if I believe in demons. And I'm just terrified right now. I don't even know why I'm so scared, but I am, because I could be wrong and the devil could be trying to get in my heart right now.
Okay, see, that's interesting.
Yeah, me too.
Because that's different than because
if
literally,
I'm wrong, I'm getting possessed. That's what's happening.
Where I came from, it wasn't like, don't watch this. Honestly, it would have been like, no, you need to watch that so you can see, so you can understand that it's real and it is out there and it is trying to get you at all times. And so that's interesting. That's two different fundamentalist ways of looking at a horror movie.
Ours was the devil will possess you if you watch that. It is inviting demons to like inhabit your physical body and your home. It is a gateway.
It was always the statement that demons can't possess you unless you invite them in. That's the only way in. And watching that kind of stuff and listening to secular music will invite them in.
Yes.
Oh man.
Interestingly enough, though, what you just said, I did have a pastor one time tell me that I should watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Not me, a whole group of people, that we should watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose, because in his experience, it was the most realistic depiction of an exorcism that he's ever seen, and we should know what it looks like.
I've heard that very thing about that movie. That was a big Christian evangelical horror movie. They loved that crap.
I know Emily Rose.
This is completely random, but speaking of horror movies, my daughter, Ellie, who is 5, she's been watching the Addams Family, like the old episodes of the Addams Family. She really likes them. And I think I'm going to stop letting her watch those because today she's doing something with our dog Max, and I looked over and she's basically playing soccer with Max, but it's a baby doll head. And I said, like, okay, no more Adams.
A little Wednesday Adams thing going on.
You don't know if that was from Adam's family.
It was. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust me. She suddenly looked at a baby doll in a new way. Because in that show, they're all like Wednesday and Pugsley are always doing things to baby dolls.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just joking. She can watch it.
I realize that I don't watch a lot of movies now because I have a severely ADHD child, or I don't know how to say that the right way. It makes it incredibly hard to watch any kind of movie in its entirety.
See, people ask me how I watch so many movies, and like with 2 kids and all that, and it legitimately, I don't sleep. I love movies so much that I make time for them like it is work, but it's work that I really love, and it's a nighttime shift.
I don't have a child.
Watch all those movies, Trey. Live it up.
Well, again, because Becca doesn't like them, it's usually when she goes out of town without me. I'm like, all right, bye. And then 3 days later, I'll have consumed 10 to 11 movies, 10 or 11 movies.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
When you could just get up, just watch movies, and then go to bed.
Just all day long.
That was just wonderful.
Pajamas.
Who's going first? Did Trey go first last time?
I think it was you, Michael.
I think that's correct.
I went first last time?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So Sean, you go first this time.
Do I have to?
Yes. Or I guess not. I mean, I don't think it's like you're not going to get arrested.
Well, I'm just not terribly confident in
Do you want me to
whether I can convince where I can state that these are dramas. We'll see.
Are you gonna change your mind based on what we say?
No, I'm joking about. We'll see if I'll go.
Sean just keeps repeating my picks. Yeah. Same. I also put that. That's yeah.
Same
Mike. Here.
Wow. Same here. All right,
scratches
I'll go
out
first.
Bachelor party.
I'll go first.
You're gonna be like, I love the cinematography of George Bumberville. He's so beautiful. And
George Bumberville.
I'm gonna be like,
I thought you were gonna start with a real character, and I was gonna be very impressed. And then you said Bumberville. I was like,
George Bumberville.
George Bumberville.
You don't know he could be a guy.
The old Bumby touch.
I'm gonna be
I
honest
almost
with
have
you.
no doubt that there is a George Bumberville out there.
There has to
I
be.
don't believe that he's actually a cinematographer of which you're aware.
There's no way.
Let me go first. I don't mind. It's not a big deal.
That sounds great. Thank you, Trey.
I just looked it up. There is no George Bumberville that Google is aware of.
Like
so you
Earth?
just like invented a person.
Wow.
Like
You made up a
on
person.
Earth.
I Googled it and there's nothing
It said
with
zero
George
results.
Bumberville on the internet.
Where did I get that from?
Zero
Then?
results.
That didn't come from my brain.
Well, where would it have come from?
I don't know.
Your brain.
Am I
Okay,
that?
so who's going first?
I'll go first.
All right.
I'm going to write down George Bumberville right now.
The dramatic movie that I hate. We're starting with hate, right?
Yes.
They're dramatic movies. So my list, Michael, you already asked this. Do you watch a lot of dramatic movies? I said yes. A lot of my list is, I guess, shaded towards more recent things. I think there's two movies on my list that are over 20 years old. And I think it's colored because those are just what's most recent on my mind. So the movie that I hate, the first one that really popped in my mind, it's because since I've seen it, I've hated it. And it's the most recent movie I've seen that I really just actually hated. I know we like to say, well, I didn't really hate this, but I couldn't think of anything. No, I hated this movie. I will set a disclaimer of saying I thought the acting was good in it from most of the cast. I thought the direction was good. I even thought the writing was pretty good, but it was a widely acclaimed movie that I thought was just a travesty that it was widely acclaimed. The movie that I hate is the 2018 version of A Star Is Born, starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga.
Oh yes.
I don't think there was any problem with Bradley Cooper's writing. I really don't think there's anything wrong with his directing or acting. I thought Lady Gaga actually did a really good job portraying the role that she did. I think the song Shallow is really stupid. I don't find it super profound. I think Lady Gaga sings it incredibly well. I think Bradley Cooper is Russell Wilson 2.0 in his singing, and I don't find it appealing at all. I don't find the lyrics very deep or meaningful. I don't think it should have won Academy Award for Best Song. I actually think it's the second worst thing about the movie, the song itself, and yet it was super acclaimed. But the worst thing about the movie is the way it just glorifies what is truly deeply to its core a horrendous red flag toxic relationship. I mean, it is grotesque the way Bradley Cooper treats Lady Gaga and the way they sort of glorify this overcoming struggles, overcoming depression, overcoming all these things for the greater good of each other, only for Bradley. Should we also put a disclaimer in here? There's going to be spoiler alerts, everybody. If you're listening, there's going to be spoiler alerts. We're going to have to talk about the plots of the movie.
To a certain extent. I'm not going to go so far with a lot of spoilers, but
I'm going to give
if you want to spoil,
yes.
just say, okay, just
spoiler
say
alert. I'm talking about the end of the movie right now because I have to. It's one of the things I hate about it. It builds up this horrendously toxic relationship where Bradley Cooper is this raging alcoholic, codependent person who like vicariously tries to live out his dying fame through Lady Gaga's character's increasing fame. She enables him constantly throughout the movie, despite him being a complete jackass the whole time. I mean, the entire time. And it all culminates in basically her being really famous and his fame dying. And he finds out that, or her manager basically tells him that he's holding her back. So his result from, and I will say it does throughout the movie, it shows that he struggles with depression and things like that. I'm not minimizing any of that, but he's
an alcoholic.
And he's an alcoholic, but his way of coping with that is to kill himself so that she can go on and have a better life. And basically the movie closes with her doing just that. Somehow, because he has killed himself, now she will have a better life, even though she really deeply loved him and all sort of stuff. But I mean, it's just, that is just the end result of what has been an entire buildup of just selfishness and toxicity and enabling alcoholism and enabling depression and enabling substance abuse and enabling codependency. I mean, there's just so many red flags. And it's one thing if you make a movie like that and you present it in a light of let's be better out of this. Let's be better, or let's just even be aware that this exists. But throughout the whole time, not only are the characters in the movie enabling it, but the writing enables it as this sort of, you know, all of those things are romantic somehow, like coming out of that, like, oh, you're an alcoholic, but I still love you. We can still be this great relationship together, even though you're going to keep drinking. It's like, well, no, you're not only are the characters enabling, the writing is saying how this is a struggle that people who are in love should overcome. And Lady Gaga constantly to her own detriment does that. It's a horrible, horrible, horrible movie.
And your suicide might make for a great song.
Yes. Like, oh my God. She and like ends with her like looking up towards the heavens, almost like, thank you, Bradley Cooper's death for my fame.
Thanks, pal.
It's like, this is really disturbing. And somehow this is supposed to be like a romantic drama movie, but you're glorifying all of the wrong things about real, true romance and love and how couples should support each other and speak truth in us. It's really bad. All that to say, I think Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga did a good job in the roles. I just think that it's just a bad movie that no one should be glorifying or loving.
The only thing that I disagree with your assessment is that Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga did a good job and that the directing was good.
Oh, yeah. I thought the directing was good. I thought the writing was poor.
The movie itself was awful from beginning to end. There was nothing good about it. I still am shocked at the amount of people who love it.
Yeah.
And I'm even talking about like film critics that I adore, that I completely respect their thoughts on film, who love this movie. And I'm just like, did I see the same movie? It's insanity to me. And Jenny, my wife, is the same. Like, we watched it, and about halfway through, like, didn't even get to the end yet, but like halfway through, we looked at each other like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is awful. It's like it's like a parody of that kind of movie without any laughs.
Well, even like at the very beginning when Bradley Cooper like discovers Allie is Lady Gaga's character's name. I can't remember Bradley Cooper's, but he like discovers her in a drag bar, and like she sings this song and it's like incredible. And Lady Gaga is a great singer. I can imagine if you actually saw her in real life, if you just like hear her singing in a bar, you're like, oh well, she's got talent.
Why is that lady in the corner screaming really loud?
But he discovers her and basically almost strong arms her into like a relationship with him, gets her to come to his concert where he's already this famous singer songwriter, and like basically forces her on the stage. And even though she's really shy and timid, makes her sing in front of hundreds of thousands of people, even though she's repeatedly expressed she's really, really uncomfortable. He just forces her hand. And that's probably about 20 minutes of the movie. I'm like, this guy's a jackass. He's going to be a jackass the whole movie. Nothing's going to change. And he was, right up until the moment where he hung himself in the garage and Lady Gaga became super famous. Because he died, she went on the European tour because that's what he wanted.
All right. The movie that I hate, it won Best Picture in 2004. And I know that. It was in my head because I know a shit ton about movies. Just kidding. I just looked it up. It won Best Picture in 2004. It is Paul Haggis's Crash. It is a movie that is about racism. At the time, to be fair, at the time, I don't think microaggression was a term that was thrown around a lot at the time, but this movie would not know a microaggression if it came up and bit it in its ass, because it is full on macroaggression from beginning to end. Everyone in this movie is like ridiculously on like their sleeves racist. So it doesn't approach it with any kind of like nuance. It's basically just a version of like some old white liberal like telling you that racism is bad and you shouldn't be racist. It's basically that for 2 hours in narrative form. And also, to be fair, this is also typically understood these days as something that like everyone was wrong about in terms of it being good. If you look up like times that the Oscars screwed up, this is almost always in the top at least 3. So there's a scene in the movie where Matt Dillon's character, who is a cop, pulls over a black couple. And he basically molests the woman during the traffic stop. Like, he puts his hand up her dress and molests her, sexually assaults her. And Tandy Newton, who is the actress in that scene, like she like recently came out and said, and just in some interview, she was talking about that scene, doing that scene, and that she wanted to wear protective underwear, which is a pretty normal thing to do in those kinds of scenes. And Paul Haggis said, no, you can't do that, because I want Matt Dillon to, quote, really go there and be in the scene.
Oh.
And again, she was telling this in an interview, basically like talking about the kind of crap that women still have to go through on movie sets. So it's a movie that I hadn't seen. And I also say this, when I first saw it in 2004, I thought it was great. I was how old? Not old. I was young, but I thought like, oh man, racism is bad. I completely agree. And I thought the movie was great. I've since gone back and watched the movie. I probably watched it like 5 or 6 years later, and I was like, okay, this was not as good as it was when I first saw it. And then I saw it last year, or no, 2 years ago, for a class like assigned it to watch, again by a very old white woman who was trying to teach us about racism. And let's just say at the end of that course, I gave her a list of movies that I thought were better examples of the movies that she gave us. And yes, I'm that guy, but I was like, all these movies that you're giving us are old and problematic and are not nuanced at all and does not help us do ministry. Anyway.
Exorcism of Emily Rose.
That was definitely not in there. So anyway, and I watched it, and I was aghast at how bad it was in terms of just how, in terms of just how not nuanced it is in any way, form, or fashion. It is so on the sleeve. It is so overly dramatic. Everything from beat to beat to beat to beat, that I got angry at the movie for just existing. And so I'm going to do this for each of my picks. I'm going to share a Letterboxd review of each of the movies because I love Letterboxd and I want more people to be on Letterboxd, and so I want to advocate for Letterboxd. And this is a review from Chris Carr 1 on Letterboxd. He says this: Crash would have voted for Obama a third time if it could. And that is a perfect example of yes, this is the old white liberals' idea of like what racism is and what we've really got to be looking out for. Ignoring what really is like the root of racism and those tiny little things that prick and bring down, another person's humanity. I hate it. Crash.
I just saw this for the first time last year, and I now need to go rewatch it. Because I have had all of the stereotypical reactions you said. So now I feel like I need to go watch it through a different lens. It was the first time I'd ever seen it. So, that was my knee-jerk reaction, was that, to see all the surface level of, well, these people are awful and racism is bad. So now I feel like I need to go back and rewatch
you're right.
it.
Racism is bad.
Well, yeah. But you're right. That is certainly a much more broad scopes argument you could make without many of the nuances of that movie.
And to be fair, like, and especially like at the time that I saw it, I was in seminary at, the most liberal school in Texas, probably. And so like I don't know how to put this other than like my woke meter was very high at that time. And so, it probably was such a culture shift that I reacted even more so to it. But it is typically like regarded. It's funny, like the way that critics will just be like, "Oh yeah, I was wrong about that. That's not good." It's funny. It's a funny.
I just remember being obsessed with how much I hated Matt Dillon's character. That was really it.
Yes, and he gets. He gets a kind of redemption in the movie.
I don't think I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, he ends up saving. Spoiler alert! He ends up saving Tandy Newton from a fire, and then suddenly his perception has changed. Like, oh, this is different. Like, and it's like, no, like you sexually assaulted her. Like, now you've saved her from a fire. And it's like, man, I should rethink how I treat women. No, that's like, again, if it were something a lot more subtle with his misogyny, maybe, But no, dude, you pulled over a couple and then molested the woman that was in the car in front of her husband. Like, you are a piece of crap. And I'm not sure, I'm not sure that you're going to be okay down the line. Sorry. Like, that's pathological.
I remember watching that movie when it first came out and thinking it was great, but I never rewatched it. Like,
Same.
now I'm curious because I don't remember. I remember like Sandra Bullock locking her door when a black man walked by. But that's all I remember of the whole movie. I remember nothing else.
But
it's fine now. She made The Blind Side. It's okay now.
But do you see like the kind of like lazy racism? Like, it's lazy racism of just like, oh wow, she locked that door when that black guy walked by. It's
Was it who was her husband in that movie? Was it
Brendan Fraser.
Oh, never mind. I was going a very different route. Never mind.
It was Encino Man himself.
I was thinking of Jimmy from NYPD Blue and Dexter. Jimmy
Smits?
Jimmy Smits. For some reason, is Jimmy Smits in that movie? Why did I think Jimmy Smits was her husband?
I don't think he's definitely not her husband. That's Brendan Fraser, but I don't think Jimmy Smits is in the movie. I could be wrong. I could be forgetting, but I don't think he is. Crash would have voted for Obama a third time if it could.
That's good.
That is good.
Also a little Get Out reference there. You know, I would have voted for Obama a third time if I could. Yeah. All right, Sean, movie that you hate.
Confessionally, I know nothing about this movie.
Oh no. What?
It's a romance movie, and
What's happening?
The movie that I hate, the drama that I hate, that I'm assuming it's a drama, is Chocolat. The reason that I hate this movie, when I was in college, I worked at a movie theater in Abilene, and it was the cheap theater, not the dollar theater, but the cheap theater. I had to do theater checks every hour on the hour to make sure the screen, sound, and everything was fine. And so for a couple of months, I had to hear partial dialogue and score from that movie constantly until one day I walk in and it was about to start, and it was just this one man and a woman in the theater by themselves, and the guy said, "Can we have sex? Can we have sex?"
Like, ask you permission?
Yeah. And I said, "I have to come back in here in an hour to make sure that the sound and the picture is good. So as long as you're not doing it then, I don't care." So the movie that I hate is Chocolat.
You know what? That's legitimately the best reason I've heard so far to hate a movie. It really is. Because I'm pretty sure if someone did that to me, I would feel they could be showing, the most thoughtful, like, introspective thing ever, and I would forever hate that movie because I'd always think of that moment.
Yeah. So that's why.
I just like that you know how to pronounce it.
Chocolat.
Yes, of course I know how to pronounce it.
Because I'm sure that there are a lot of people just being like, "Give me 2 for chocolate."
I'll take 2 tickets to chocolate, please.
Sir, you would notice that there is not an E at the end of that title. It is Chocolat.
I'm also annoyed by the movies Family Man, Blow, and Jeepers Creepers for similar reasons.
Happened more than once?
Not the sex part, just having to walk in.
It's the same couple. Hey, man. So can you do that hour thing again? Thanks, bro. We both live with our parents, so this is awesome.
But what goes through someone's mind that they're like, yeah, I'm going to ask the movie guy if it's cool if we just have sex in this theater?
I don't know.
Who
I don't know.
did that?
It was Abilene,
Desperation.
Texas. Stacy. It was Abilene, Texas, at the cheap theater where you really probably only would have 2 people in the theater at the same time, and that's it. It was no one went to that theater. And I shocked myself on the marquee once.
How many babies do you think were born because of that theater?
I don't even want to think about it. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with following down that path is that the concrete was poured in the theater in a way where there was a seam in the middle. And so anything that was spilled in the theater or released in the theater would fall down into one central. So that's the movie I hate.
What were the other movies? Blow.
Yeah, Jeepers Creepers, Family Man with Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Nick Cage.
Yeah,
I think is what he prefers.
Probably.
Out of all those movies, honestly, Jeepers Creepers is the best one.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty sure we had Monkey Bone there with Brendan Fraser.
Oh wow.
Oh my.
Yeah. Jumping back there. I can't remember what else. We had 3,000 Miles to Graceland, maybe?
Wow.
How long did you work there?
A year.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
2000
man.
to 2001. I'll have to check the dates. I may be wrong about those movies, but
I don't know anything about Chocolat. I couldn't tell you who's in it.
Johnny
Depp.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And then,
It was nominated for Best Picture.
I remember it coming out,
Yeah.
and I think that's why. I think I remember that, but I never saw it. I was never interested in it, and I've not thought about it again since it came out until you just told the sex story that you told.
Let's not call it
And
the
now,
sex.
now I don't think I can ever watch the movie because I'll
probably
just think of that.
I saw it years ago, and I remember thinking like it is pretty. It's just as hoity-toity as its name.
As pronouncing it correctly would make it sound. Yeah.
Chocolat.
I have a hard time imagining someone wanting to make a like super artsy hoity-toity movie and being like, hey, you know who should get to star in it?
Johnny Depp.
Let's get Edward Scissorhands.
He is kind of a pretentious dude, though.
But he doesn't. Yeah, he's not covered in makeup in the movie, which is it's always shocking to see Johnny Depp playing like kind of a normalish person in a movie. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah. Is that what you really sound like?
Did y'all see that Dior ad that he did?
No.
No.
So he does a Dior. I was very up in arms about this. He does this Dior perfume ad. They have this like native fancy dancer dancing, and Johnny Depp like goes out into the middle of nowhere. He's like camping and like getting back to, I don't know, nature. And they call the perfume Sauvage.
That's a character in Star Wars.
It's got all of these like very native like tropes in it, and then they call the damn thing Savage.
That's ridiculous.
That sounds like a bad SNL bit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the whole ad is like very like art housey, like weird perfume type. Yeah, it was pretty awful.
Sometimes I see those commercials and I see those ads and I wonder if any of them are intentionally over the top, tongue in cheek, like self-aware. Because some of them are that crazy, absolute batshit crazy.
Like,
but
Tommy
some of them,
Hilfiger.
you're like, yeah, you're trying to be artsy. But some of them, you're like, this is laughable to the point of, are you doing this on purpose? Like, are you trying to be? Anyway,
like there's no
Fire
such thing
and
as bad
rage.
press.
right? Yeah.
People are going to
Scissors.
talk about it if we look absolutely stupid.
Or just making fun of the industry, like somebody said, let's just be ridiculous to point out how absurd these are. And then people will go buy our stuff at Macy's because it's always Macy's.
It's always Macy's.
Always Macy's.
All right, Stacey, movie that you hate.
I wish I had a good story like Sean's.
No, you don't.
This movie I hate because it made me physically sick. The movie was so stressful. I was like, my body was sore and I was nauseous after watching this.
Human Centipede.
I still have not seen Human
But that was a
Centipede.
comedy.
I'm afraid to look into Human Centipede, so
You definitely don't
Don't
want to
look
look
into
into
it.
Human Centipede. Don't do that.
I was under the assumption that Human Centipede looks into you.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
the movie, or were you just eating cereal while you were watching it?
You have egg burps.
It's a real thing, and it's only Cheerios. The movie is Gravity, the Sandra Bullock movie. Y'all.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's like brilliantly acted and it's so pretty in space and all that. I was so nauseous in that movie. I thought I was going to die. Like, we went and saw it in the theater, and I've not seen it since because I was super, super nauseous. And I was so stressed out the entire time that I was like white knuckling the chair. I couldn't handle it.
Alfonso Cuarón.
That's kind of like
George
going.
Clooney.
That's kind of like going to a comedy and being like, "I hate that movie. It made me laugh so hard."
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But I was super nauseous in that movie. Like, I should have taken a Dramamine or something.
Yeah, some
Did you
people.
Go see it at the old IMAX?
No.
No. So it's just a regular movie theater.
Yeah. And it's not the first time. Like, I've gotten sick of the movies before.
I saw that movie 3 times in the theater.
See, it's probably great. I just can't physically watch that.
I loved it.
So stressful.
Alfonso Cuarón won like best director for it.
But yeah, it's a thriller. Like, it's supposed to be stressful. Now I get getting nauseous and being like, I can't watch this because like I'm getting nauseous. That I totally get, but I mean, you're supposed to be
I'm
knuckling
sure.
it. That's the point.
I'm sure. It was just too stressful for me. I cannot handle it. And I also should have taken a Dramamine. Should have known.
Have you
better.
ever been to the IMAX ever?
Yes.
Do you
I
want to
saw
go?
Frozen.
Don't go. You Frozen.
Frozen.
That was not at all what I expected.
I was at Disney World or something.
Have you ever seen like found footage films at the movies?
I watched Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was so sick. I had to leave the theater multiple times. And I thought I was going to barf. Like, I'm like dry heaving in the bathroom. And they made us sign a paper. They made us sign some paper that it was like, you won't get your money back if you go see this movie. You'll be sick. And I was like, I'll be fine. I was sick.
So this technically was not a date, but like I went with like, I think it was like 4 of us, but I was with a girl that I really liked, and she
vomited.
She got really sick, like halfway through the movie, and like had to leave. And the entire time, the rest of the movie, I was like, should I go check on her? I really want to see this though. I'm sure she's fine.
She didn't go on another date with you, did she?
And so no, we dated like exclusively later, which is interesting. But and
now they're married.
I liked I wanted to see what happened. So I talked myself out of going to check on her. I texted her like, "Hey, you doing okay?"
Did she like just go sit in the lobby and wait for you?
Yeah. Again, it wasn't a date. It was like a group. It was like 4 of us. It was like a group thing.
Here's my question though. It's not IMAX. You're staring forward at a screen. You're feeling motion sick. Why don't you just turn to the left and stare at the still wall?
It doesn't take that much. And then once it happens, it doesn't stop. Like I'll get motion sickness from being on FaceTime with like a kid when they move around too much and they do the phone. Like,
okay.
I'm not kidding. I cannot handle it. Like, my nieces and nephews know that if they want to talk to me on FaceTime, they have to physically sit down. And if they start getting up, I'm like, we're done here. I can't handle it. And I'll talk to them, but I will not be on the screen.
Stacey doing a virtual children's moment, just vomiting all over the place.
I just can't. It's too much for me. I used to not be like that, but I Yeah, I can't. Or like even in the car, if I'm looking at my phone, I'll get sick. I have to take Dramamine.
I'm also now imagining between the two stories, Stacy's vomit and that guy's semen converging in the middle.
I didn't vomit in the theater.
With a bunch of popcorn and diet soda.
At this rate, so like last time we had Stacy telling us about something that gave her egg burps. This time it's something made her vomit. I feel like next time it's going to be like, now the book that I hate. I really hate this book because it killed my dad.
I just like to be really open and honest about my experiences.
I like it.
For the record, Dustin and I were married, and no, he did not come out and check on me. He made.
If it were Gravity, I wouldn't have even texted. No. Trey, movie that you think is overrated?
This movie was 2, maybe 3 years ago. Super high acclaimed. I was really, really excited about seeing it, anticipated it a lot, watched it, and spent the better part of 2.5 hours absolutely bored out of my mind. Really, really couldn't fully understand why people were talking about it, why it was nominated for so many things, what the big deal about it was.
I'm so scared right now.
I think it's probably pretty good, or not. It had good cinematography, and I think that was its only redeeming quality. Everything else about the movie I just really hated, probably hated. But this one received a lot of acclaim that I didn't hate nearly as much as A Star Is Born, but I was mostly just bored. The movie I think is overrated. Dunkirk. I did not like Dunkirk. I was really, really bored. Like I said, there was just too many lapses. You know, it's a action war type movie with very, very little action. A singular character development and almost sort of these little nuances of characters that appear here and there, but otherwise no real interesting plot development, no satisfying ending, but it was nominated for several awards. I think it was every year I don't always accomplish it, but before the Academy Awards, I try to watch all of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture at least. And I think that year it was nominated. It was the last one that I saw. And it was easily the most disappointing for me that year. But yeah, Dunkirk, I don't get really the hype. I don't quite understand why so many people are high on it. I thought 1917 was a better war movie. That came out around the same time. I didn't say I thought 1917 was good. I thought it was better than Dunkirk. And mostly that's just because I guess for 1917, I just love Kenneth Branagh, and it's really hard for me to it's hard for me to dislike anything that he's in.
Kenneth Branagh was in Dunkirk, not 1917.
Hold on. Let me make sure I've not reversed them.
I didn't watch Dunkirk because I thought it was going to be too stressful.
Oh no, I've reversed them. No. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
1917. 1917 is the movie. See, they're so similar. 1917 is the movie that I think is highly overrated. I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I liked Dunkirk. 1917 was a very, very overrated movie. Yes. Sorry. You should include all of that. So everything I just said about Dunkirk, apply that to 1917. And everything I said about 1917, apply it to Dunkirk.
Applied.
I mean, they're two World War I movies that came out within 2 years of each other, and they're both about the same length.
Is 1917 a boat movie?
No. Dunkirk is the one with the boats.
That's an amazing question.
Yes.
Is this a boat movie?
Technically, in both of them, they're on land for the majority of but Dunkirk takes place on the coast, and there are boats involved sailing across the sea. I've got it backwards. I'm sorry. 1917 is my Yes, 1917. Which movie is my 1917 is my overrated movie, not Dunkirk. 1917 is incredibly boring.
Has one of the One Direction guys?
Dunkirk.
Okay. I've not seen 1917.
1917 is really boring.
Not seen it. This is amazing.
I considered 1917 for my movie that I think is overrated, and I agree with a lot of what you said just about it. I just didn't think it was anything special, but I think that what I did see, it's always interesting to me, and this happens a lot. People will start talking, and I mean like the general populace will like take notice of a movie,
Mhm.
And they'll start saying things like, I mean, it's so unique because like it does this, and like no movie's ever done that before. And I'm a lot of times punching my dashboard because it's the ticket that's doing it. But a lot of people will talk about that. And so like one of the things with 1917 was just like this idea that no movie has ever been made that was made to look like one shot, which a little guy named Alfred Hitchcock might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like it was like just a few years previously. This is a thing that has been done. Is it cool? Is it a cool gimmick? Absolutely. And usually I eat that crap up. I love one shot things, even when it's, obviously a cheat, that's fine. But I love like the maneuvering and like what the camera is doing and all that. I really appreciate that. I thought 1917 was incredibly lazy, in the sense of just like, hey, all we have to do is like do the gimmick, and we don't have to come up with an interesting story or interesting characters or anything else, because like, look how cool it is. And so, yeah, I also thought, I didn't hate it, but I definitely thought that it was incredibly overrated when it came out, and probably my least favorite of that year.
Yeah, like I said, I thought the visual effects were great. I think the cinematography was good. I think it was effective at what it was trying to accomplish, but it's almost like they were trying to use that to cover the fact that they had no distinguishable plot. It was basically these vignettes of these things happening to this one guy. There was no progressive plot. The character himself was not particularly interesting or didn't really draw you in. And I think if that's what you're going for is, hey, let's make a movie where we're trying to do this really cool, is cinematographical a word? Sounds like It should be a word if it's not.
It can be
cinematographical type.
Nailed it.
Cinematographical. Cinematographical.
That's not a word either, but
if that's what you're going for, cool. But that doesn't mean that the movie's not going to suck. It's great that you know how to do cool things with the camera, but also you should develop a good movie as well. And the movie itself was just really, really boring and dumb. 1917 is what I'm talking about, not Dunkirk.
Yeah. A similar thing happened this year with Nomadland, which I thought was really good, but probably not as much as other people did. And that's another thing I heard a lot, specifically the ticket again, because I don't talk to people really. I just listen to the ticket in these pandemic days. But that same thing, there's this Junior would talk about it's this crazy thing where it's like the first time like anybody's ever done this, where it's like they have people in the movie who they're not even like trained actors, like they actually do this stuff. And it's like, again, this is something that has been done since like at least the 50s. This is not a new concept. Just because you are suddenly aware of it does not make it unique, and does not
also,
make it.
I don't know how you're even just now aware of it. Sacha Baron Cohen has made a lot of money off of literally what you're describing.
Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, his entire basis of fame is basically off that idea.
Yeah. Quite literally, yeah.
My grandpa texted me to watch the new Sacha Baron Cohen movie, and I was like, "Grandpa, are you really texting me about this?" I feel like Grandpa's probably sure. I don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't really know anything about it, but the fact that my grandpa told me to watch it makes me giggle.
I really enjoyed it. And I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be a thing of like diminishing returns, but
me too.
it shifted focus, obviously away from him to like this other character. And I thought that was really inspired, and
Yes.
and she did do a really good job. Honestly, there were times where I was just like, I can't believe she's doing this. Like, I can buy Sacha Baron Cohen doing things, but like, this is just some actress from Romania or whatever. And so like, I was just like, what is she, just the bravery of the things that she would do. I was just like, that's just amazing to me. But yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Should watch it.
You haven't watched it yet?
No.
It's very good. You should watch it.
I need
Rudy Giuliani alone is worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the performance he did on that fair.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Where he almost got killed.
Yeah. Have you seen the video of like after
like running and he breaks character like for the first time? Yeah.
And him in the van holding it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That man has the biggest balls. The largest balls.
You know, he's recently said he can't do it anymore. He's like, I can't do this anymore because I have kids now. and he was like, I can't because I have kids now. And if I die, I leave a greater responsibility.
Yeah. Like, how did Dad die? Let's not go into that.
I really don't want to tell you, but your inheritance is going to be great because of it.
The film that I think is overrated. I honestly tried to find something different, but I'm not sure that I know of a movie that I'm more perplexed by the love for it. And that is A Star is Born. Everything Trey said, I think I've said before, it reminded me of Walk Hard, in not the way that you want to be reminded of Walk Hard if you're a serious movie. And honestly, there's a reason that not a lot of like musical, biopic kind of movies like that, they kind of stopped for a while after Walk Hard because Walk Hard kind of eviscerated them. And I think A Star is Born is a perfect example of a movie that Walk Hard eviscerated, and it didn't even exist yet. So it's like, how did you do this? It's ridiculous. This is the meteoric rise is so generically done. It's like it, again, like Walk Hard, just like, now here's some Grammys and now this and now this and now that. And like, and it's just ridiculous how it, like, I get it. She's getting popular. You don't have to oversell that. But man, they oversell it. And Bradley Cooper, I don't know what he's doing in the movie.
He's drinking.
He sounds like Sling Blade. Like it's this real, like, I'm not going to move my mouth very much, and I'm going to mumble talk for everything I say, and I'm going to call it acting. And I'm going to but when he starts singing, it's completely different. He'll go from this song that I wrote for whatever it is, and we're going to take it and we're going from the top, shallow. And it's like, what is happening? That's not the same person. I don't know. And I think he was nominated, if I'm not mistaken. And I didn't think he was good. I didn't think Lady Gaga was good. I think she was serviceable for like not being a professional actress. Sure. But also, she was barely a character. Like, it could have just been a cardboard cutout of Lady Gaga and just Bradley Cooper carrying it around, because there was just no character to her character. It was all focused on Bradley Cooper, which is kind of strange based on what the movie is. Andrew Dice Clay is in this movie. I'm just going to leave that there.
What is it? What is he in the movie?
He's Lady Gaga's father in the movie.
All right. That's weird.
Yeah. I don't know. And then also, like, one of the points of the movie seems to be, to me at least, this idea that like it's really hard to find true like originality in art. And when you find that, you just gotta like embrace it. And it's just such a special thing. This is a movie that has now been remade. It's the fourth time that it's been remade, preaching to me about originality, starring the world's biggest Madonna ripoff. So I don't want to hear anything about originality from this movie, and especially originality when it comes to an art form. And then, yes, I don't even have to go into all the problematic BS that Trey already wonderfully went into. I don't have to go there. So thank you, Trey. My Letterboxd review comes from Matthew. Yeah, my Letterboxd review comes from a 1-star review from Matthew Roberts. Quote, "1 star is born."
Nice.
That's good.
That is good.
Yeah,
Also, just Andrew Dice Clay, but also Dave Chappelle and Sam Elliott are also in the movie as well. They've not been mentioned.
yes, and honestly, they're fine. I thought they were fine. Sam Elliott, just because like Sam Elliott,
but him as Bradley Cooper's brother,
weird. Yeah, dad, maybe
it's not entirely believable. I mean, that's neither here nor there, really. It's just sort of one of those one more thing. It's like, I mean, did you just want Sam Elliott to be in the movie? I get it. I would want to be in a movie with Sam Elliott too. But is that really the only reason he's here? Because he's not believable as your white-haired, white mustachioed brother who looks like he's 40 years older than you.
Also, I believe I read somewhere where Bradley Cooper said that he based his performance on Sam Elliott, to which I'm like, okay, why then cast Sam Elliott opposite you in the movie? That's a weird thing to do. And then like basically do what I could only imagine as a comic impression of him that is not correct. Because even Sam Elliott will open his mouth when he speaks.
It's a terrible movie.
It's awful. It is awful. And people love it. And I mean like love it. Love it.
A lot of that is just because Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. I mean, like people love Bradley Cooper and people love Lady Gaga.
I like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, I love Bradley Cooper. I like Lady Gaga. I don't love her. I don't hate her. But they both have big fan bases, and so it's easy for people to do that. And there's this like inner desire in us, like we're humans, we're dramatic creatures. We create drama out of nothing, and so to see someone having this like unrequited, like beautiful love story out of this like super dramatic real world story, people like live vicariously through the movie. That's why it is so toxic and red flaggy, is because people are like, oh, that's so beautiful the way they still love each other. It's like he literally hangs himself in the garage. It's not beautiful.
This is not a beautiful ending.
It is dark and it's depressing, and it's even worse that somehow Lady Gaga feels better about her fame and fortune because of it. This is not something you should aspire to. Please, teenage girls of today, stop watching this movie.
But again, I completely understand like the general public loving the movie. I get that because of those elements that you said. But I'm telling you, critics adore this movie. And I read their reviews and I try to understand where they're coming from. And I'm just like, I don't see it at all. And it's really bizarre. Like it really is. It's a movie that confounds me.
The only thing I knew about that movie before today is that Jason Isbell wrote a song for it.
Yeah, which song was it?
Maybe it's Time to Let the Old Ways Die.
Yeah,
I don't know the actual title, but that's like the chorus, I think.
I didn't hate the music in it. Again, I don't like Shallow. Definitely, I don't quite get that one.
I think you wrote that.
But a lot of the other stuff, I was like, yeah, this isn't terrible, and so that makes sense if Jason Isbell wrote one of the songs.
Honestly, Shallow is the only thing I remember from it. And that's not to say there was anything wrong with the other music or great about it. It's just that Shallow affected me in such a deep, dark way that it's all, and just the acclaim that came with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to Academy Awards thinking there's no way that song's going to win. It's a stupid song. But again, I mean, it's Lady Gaga wrote it, sang it, produced it. It has that sort of weight. I mean, award shows are as political as anything else. And so.
And it's a perfectly
Whatever.
named song for that movie.
And The Shallows as well.
True, that would have fit. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Can't believe they didn't think of
I
that.
don't know where they would have fit it in, but yeah.
Right as she's swimming out on the surfboard.
There you go.
Even the opening line, "Tell me something, girl." That's the shark singing to that actress from Gossip Girl.
Blake Lively.
Blake Lively, yes. Ryan Reynolds' wife, yes.
Yes. Sean.
Yeah, I think the movie my movie that's overrated is I actually said Whiplash. I'm sorry.
It's all right. We'll hear about it later.
I really like it, but I think it's overrated. I think it's interesting. I think it's
I'm gonna cry.
oh, don't cry. I think it's intense as hell, which is great. I love J.K. Simmons. I love J.K. Simmons. I also like there is an element of reality in the kind of like old school jazz band leader that is abusive. I mean, there are like actual stories of these old jazz band leaders, you know, throwing cymbals at people and that sort of thing, like in real life. I can't stand Miles Teller.
Oh, really?
I really can't stand him at all.
You know, he played drum. He actually played for a lot of the movie.
That's great. Good for him. I can't stand Miles Teller. I think if a potato could look confused, I think it would be Miles Teller.
He usually plays bad people, right?
What?
Yeah.
Bad guys.
I think if like a wadded up towel found a hustler in the woods and was caught by his parents, that would be Miles Teller's face.
What?
I'm
Jeez,
just
this
trying
is
to find
becoming
ridiculous ways to describe Miles Teller's face. I just really don't like Miles Teller, and I thought the movie was good. I enjoyed it. I just didn't think it was as good as everybody said it was.
Is this your music background ruining it? Like y'all ruined John Williams for me because you're a bunch of music nerds in college and y'all are like, John Williams sucks, you know. Did you not know that?
I had never told you John
Did you not
Williams
know
sucks.
that? He does. He sucks.
He does copy himself.
Were you not aware of that?
Quite often?
We
but,
are. We were aware of it.
And Holst, he copies Holst.
We were
a lot.
aware of it. Our professor played us some music that sounded like John
No,
Williams, and
no.
so he sucks.
That's definitely not it. The only comment I'll make about this is Whiplash was on my short list for multiple other very different categories.
I'm
And
sorry.
I might talk about it later in the podcast. So
Okay. Again, I'm not saying I disliked it. I actually liked it a lot. I liked a lot about it, but I just didn't think it was. I just don't think he's that great.
I'm not crazy about Miles Teller. I don't mind him. I do think that like in real life, like he's probably a douchebag. He just seems
I think I've read that actually.
off to me. There's just something
That's
about
sad.
him that I'm just like I've not read anything. I just based on him. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. That's very irresponsible of me to say about another human being. But his
I
face
bet he's a jerk.
is very punchable.
I don't know anything about him, but his face makes me think douche.
Violence.
Exactly.
I liked the rag in the woods bit.
Yuck.
That was pretty
I
good.
should have stuck with the potato one.
No, they were both
That
very
one makes
creative.
sense. Yeah. But no, I probably do overrate that movie. I definitely don't underrate it. So I probably overrate that movie. Just I love that movie. I think part of it is well, I mean, you know, obviously this is all subjective, and I also think like the things that speak to us in different ways, and because of our personalities and all that kind of stuff. And I think that the movie, think it connects with me on the creative side of things, because I think that I want to be a creative person, and so and I am very, very hard on myself, basically like trying to hit that perfection. And so I there's a lot about in that movie that I was just like, yeah, like basically like the creative process as masochism. And I think it touched home. I think it touches home a little too close to me. And then also I think that final scene in that movie, I think it's one of the most awesome, thrilling, and also like not unlike anything I've ever seen before, like between two characters in a movie. And I'm a big fan.
Yeah, the final scene, I don't really care anything about Miles Teller. I don't want to talk too much about it. I really just don't care anything about Miles Teller. From what I've read about his preparation for the role, I respect that. What he did, what he put into preparing for the role, what he put into the musicality of creating that character. That said, my love for the movie has little to nothing to do with Miles Teller or his character at all. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Stacy, movie that you think is overrated?
So this is my second pick. One, I did not want to make Michael mad. And I wanted to keep being friends with him. And two, I didn't know if it was a drama, so I didn't pick it. My pick was going to be La La Land, but it's not.
Another Damien Chazelle
drama.
film.
Didn't want to make you mad.
That he directed Whiplash.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So yeah. I picked The Notebook, which I believe is a drama, right?
Sure.
No, definitely.
I would say La La Land is too.
Yeah, I would.
Well, because it was a musical, I felt like it was a different thing, so I didn't pick it.
I think it's
musicals
borderline.
can be dramatic.
I think it can be.
Yeah, and I also think it's borderline musical. I don't know if you could go full-fledged musical with it.
I know.
No,
it was
It's its own. I feel like it's
Definitely musical.
It was so very hard.
But it's different
more
than like a lot of musicals. Like it's.
There's
if more than 3 times in the movie you break out in song and dance and it's a part of the actual plot, it's a musical.
That's the thing. They don't break out in song. They break out in dance usually.
Well, that's why I said song and dance.
Well, right. But I usually, when I think about musicals, I don't think about just dancing. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of musicals, but I just, to me, I always felt like it didn't necessarily like fit into the generically, like the generic idea of what a musical is. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
And there are no gay characters, so I don't know if it can technically. I don't know if it can be a musical.
I mean, you realize when musicals were like
we're
really
going
popular,
off on a
right? Like
we're going on a very different tangent. Now.
Trust me, there were no gay characters in the in like Hollywood.
The characters
50s.
don't matter. The question is, are there any gay actors? And there definitely are, including those in the 50s. That's really all.
That's true.
That's really what truly makes it a musical. Is anyone in it gay? Okay, yeah, it's a musical.
I don't think La La Land though.
You think there's 0 gay people that appear in La La Land? Just by the numbers, that doesn't make sense. There has to be.
There are like
has to be gay people.
Like one black person in a jazz movie in Los Angeles.
Yeah, jazz artists.
One. The whole movie.
No, not one. There's multiple.
There's one main one, and
there's one
John
main
Legend.
one. Yes, there's one main one.
One of her roommates is black as well.
Oh, so we're up to 2.
But there's also several like in the back. There's only like 5
Wait,
or
no,
6.
I'm not picking La La Land. Let's not talk about La La Land.
It's like okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6. This is a good movie. I counted 6. It's a good movie.
This is Friends 2.0.
Like what is the like what is the
can we count?
Like I feel like this is a weird kind of different kind of racism of like
I want solid representation in a movie about jazz set in Los Angeles.
Well, you have to think that what I was about to say. There's only like 5 main characters to begin with. If you really look at the plot progression of the movie, there's
That's
not.
true. And it's one of those movies where I watched it with Ollie in the room, and I cannot tell you how many times I had to pause the movie and go back to it. And it might have been a 2-day situation too.
Okay. Well, that's the movie's fault.
Yeah. That's what?
That's the
No,
movie's fault. That's definitely
my fault. I'm taking blame.
Do you want to make this your choice now that we've?
I think you should, because The Notebook.
No, I'm taking it. Yes.
Yeah, you should own your La La Land pick. I was expecting
Well, then
it
now
anyway.
I'm outraged that you would.
I
Pick
thought
this.
it was highly overrated, but we have had this conversation where you both have been very outraged. I should probably watch this movie again at some point.
I am more okay with Whiplash being overrated than I am La La Land being overrated, but that's because I sobbed watching La La Land.
I know you did, which is why I didn't pick it.
I adore them both.
Does that soften it?
No,
Oh.
because you did pick it. Now that we've said it's a drama.
Also,
you said you didn't pick it because you didn't know if it was drama. No, it's a drama. Oh, then yeah, definitely La La Land.
I was safely picking The Notebook because
don't go safe. Don't go safe. Go for it.
I told the sex movie theater story. Don't be
Also, Sean knew what he was doing when he was going to say Whiplash. Like, he knew how I was going to react to that.
You're damn right I did.
Because he has never confessed that to me.
That's true.
never confess that to you.
If you did say Notebook, though, I would 100% agree.
I know.
Yeah,
It's
well,
way overrated.
Who
Writing's
likes The Notebook?
A lot of people.
Literally
Every
no one
woman I know.
appropriately rates The Notebook, though.
I
No
was
one
about to-
appropriately
yeah,
rates
yeah.
The Notebook.
It's like
Like, it's either
Michael,
underrated or
who
overrated.
likes the
Yes.
Notebooks? Pretty much anyone 20 to their deathbed that likes romance. Period.
It's true.
I don't
It's
know those
true.
people.
Yeah, and I think because the women that you're around aren't like, they're not like romance.
Well, to be
Drama.
fair, my wife does like The Notebook.
Does she?
So I think so. I'm pretty sure we own it. I'm pretty sure she owns a DVD of The Notebook, which doesn't
A
necessarily
DVD.
mean she likes it, but
Yeah, I
We
wonder.
own a DVD of Chocolat.
Just for the memories.
Right.
oh, also I should say, to be fair, I've not seen The Notebook, so I
Me
don't,
neither, actually.
I don't know whether it's a good movie or not.
seen it
but
several
it
times.
looks
It's awful.
bad.
You went to Christian University and you've not seen The Notebook?
You
Yeah.
went to Christian
I've seen A Walk to
University?
Remember.
Same.
I've seen
I've
A
done-
Walk to Remember, but I've not
Done
seen
that
many
song in
times.
The
worship
Notebook.
before.
Yeah. I feel like The Notebook was just very pivotal in Christian
Really?
University. Yeah,
You
it
know,
was.
it's a Nicholas Sparks novel, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was like a very big deal.
I remember that with A Walk to Remember. I don't remember that with The Notebook.
I know
a lot,
of
Christians
people
like
I
A
went.
Walk to Remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was specifically Christian, like based or something. But
Yeah.
I
John
would say
Foreman
I know
wrote that song.
a lot of
Which I
a
kinda
lot
like.
of Christian
Me too.
people who liked The Notebook, but I don't think it's because they felt like it was like gospel based or anything like that.
No.
I
It
think
was
those were just
Adjacent, I feel like, or like
housewives that enjoyed Nicholas Sparks.
yes, and
Just
sexually
true,
repressed Christian University.
Yeah. true love worshipers.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you
Yeah.
ever gone and looked at all the posters for Nicholas Sparks movies, and they're all the exact same? Like
Are they?
So
really?
is
like
so
literally,
is book covers.
it's right. Like it's all
Yeah.
holding. It's all like a man and a woman like looking at each other, and like one of them is usually holding the other one, but they're always like they look the exact same. It's fascinating.
I mean,
Here's
if
why-
Google it.
Here's why I can't corroborate that. I couldn't name another Nicholas Spark movie.
There's a lot. I couldn't name them, but
Yeah.
I've seen them. There's a lot. There's at least 4 or 5 that have been made into movies.
I didn't know until I had to stock the books at Books a Million.
I thought you were gonna say I didn't know
and-
until at the Cinema 6 in Abilene
Now
we played all
He
of the
said-
Nicholas Sparks movies.
I'd have to stock those books constantly, and so I was like, oh, that's a movie too.
Yeah.
And anyway, but yeah,
Did
you
a lot
ever
of
come to the
Nicholas
Nicholas-
Sparks end caps at Books a Million.
Lot of
Again,
Yeah.
they're all doing the
Yeah.
same thing. So it's like, we probably shouldn't do this because this looks ridiculous.
Right across from the Clive Cussler end cap.
Did anyone ever come to the Nicholas Sparks aisle and ask if you could come back in an hour?
No,
No.
but
No. However,
that
Oh.
cooking section.
There should be no however to that.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the cooking section.
And this was nice, Stacey. We got a twofer on this one.
Yeah, it's true.
all right, Trey. Drama film that you think is underappreciated.
Sticking with the recent theme and the musical theme, I think it's underappreciated. I don't know how to say this. I think people who have seen it appreciate it. I don't think it is known. I don't think it's really well known. It was a Best Picture nominee this year. I think there's a lot of people who still don't even know that it was a movie, nonetheless have seen it. And some of that has to do with just movies are in this weird place right now where they're all basically having to release in theaters and stream or pick one or the other. And there's 1,000 streaming platforms. And so it's really hard to be aware of it. The movie I think is most underappreciated is Sound of Metal, mostly just because of its awareness. And I guess a moment of serious vulnerability. My greatest fear, I have an incredible fear of losing my hearing. My entire basis of what I do is based on hearing. The thing I'm most passionate about is being able to use my hearing. And I think they made this incredibly beautiful movie that captures some of the desperation and the fear in that. And so I just had this really visceral reaction to watching it. And I think that Riz Ahmed did a wonderful job acting in it. I think it was just this beautiful picture, I guess, of what it means to make music, the emotional connection that it creates between people in terms of him and his love interest and how it connected them, that music was how they connected, and even how music and his connection with his girlfriend basically saved his life in this thing, and how he thought losing that hearing, losing that connection would basically end his life. And without giving any spoilers, it's just this, it's a really, really great, poignant movie that I wish had won Best Picture. And I can't help but wonder if maybe it wasn't solely on Amazon Prime, if it had had a wider distribution, a wider release, a little bit more awareness around it, maybe it could have been more greatly appreciated.
My favorite movie of last year.
Get it on my watch list. I keep hearing about it. I have not watched it yet.
Same.
Again, that's a movie that really that I really connected to, just in the way I'm bringing up OCD a lot, but like the idea, like, again, the obsessive compulsive disorder, like it revolves around control, and it revolves around not having control.
Yeah.
And so you do things in order to like maintain a sense of control. And that entire movie is basically about letting go of control. And letting go of the things that you cannot do anything about, which is everything. Sorry,
I couldn't resonate with that at the end. Just going back to that deep sense of fear,
Mhm.
like even at the end,
Mhm.
you sense his peace,
Ah, ah.
but it's like no.
Yeah, there's we watched it. I've seen it twice now because before the Oscars, I watched it before it had been nominated, and after it was nominated, Jenny and I we always watch all the nominated movies, and so I watched it a second time with her, and that time there's just this one instance where he's asked to go sit in a room and just sit there, and if he wants to, he can start writing in this piece of paper that's there, and he has some coffee and a donut. But other than that, he just needs to sit in that room, and he can't handle it. Again, like, he's lost his hearing. He just can't handle just sitting with it. And he gets so frustrated in the room that he jams his hands down and just beats the crap out of this donut. And the donut just falls to pieces. And then he immediately takes the donut and pieces and like pushes it all back together. And I was like, oh man, that's such a good like visual representation of what's happening. And it's full of that kind of stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful film. And yes, I think you'd be hard pressed to not appreciate it. My favorite of last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, to say, if you've not seen it, go watch it. Make that the next one you can see.
Okay.
I really,
Bye, Sean.
I think you'd both really enjoy it.
And yeah,
I plan to.
I saw the trailer like 2 days ago, and I had never heard anything about it before then.
Movie that I think is underappreciated is Mother, and that's with a lowercase m and a exclamation point at the end. Mother is a Darren Aronofsky film that came out a few years ago, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. I can't really go into like what it's about. I'll just say it's about a couple living in this house out in country. It kind of starts out with them getting some visitors, but where it goes from there is nuts. It's a movie that is incredibly divisive. People either hate it, like absolutely hate it, or love it. There's definitely metaphors at play in the movie. There's a crap ton of biblical allegories going on in the movie that I loved. But at the same time, there's multiple interpretations about like what it can actually mean, like the themes of the movie and like what it's talking about. I would say the majority, the most probably obvious ones are it being a movie about taking care of creation and creation care, and also kind of similarly at the same time being about things like the artistic process and what that's like, how historically men have used women as muses and the ways that can be like a vampiric relationship. What's up? A Star is Born?
I was trying to think of a vampire movie.
Yeah, sorry.
I was like, Vampire Mother.
And so some of the criticism against the movie has been its use of metaphor, and that's just a whole other conversation. That I feel like there's this sense that metaphors are inherently bad or lazy writing, and I don't agree with that. I think they can be really revealing and helpful. And that's a lot of the kind of high end criticism at it. A lot of the low end criticism I've seen is basically a lot of, especially like on Letterboxd, yelling about how it is misogynist. When my reading of the movie is the complete opposite of misogyny. Like one of the things that it's doing is confronting misogyny. And but man, there's a good contingency of Karens specifically who hate, and I mean like vitriolic hate, this movie. But I really love it. It's one of those, like I said, it's one of those movies that can have different interpretations. I showed it. I was so jazzed by it when I saw it that the very next day I demanded Jenny watch it with me. Which is how I love something if I just immediately want to show it to Jenny. And so she watched it, and I was like expecting her to just be like, this is confusing and I hate you. But she loved it, and she had a completely different interpretation than I did that totally fit and totally had worth. It's great. I love it. It's a wonderful little puzzle box gut punch of a movie. The Letterboxd, I did not use one of the other Letterboxd, one of the negative Letterboxd reviews, but there's one of the Letterboxd reviews is from a woman named Lucy. She says, kind of like a Charlie Kaufman movie if you had a bunch of Coke and speed read the Bible.
I've never seen it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't get it the first time, or I've only watched it once, but like I didn't get it, which is not, it's not abnormal for me to not get something, But it's like, it's so much metaphor that I feel like it took me a long time. Like it took me some days, and like I kept talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I even think I talked to Jenny about it because I was like, what the hell's going on here? But it is so layered that it took me, like, I guess I see where those the Karens were like, this is misogynistic, because if you're just watching the movie, it is, but that's not what it's saying. Like just on its face.
Yeah,
But
and again, that's a whole that also is a whole other like film criticism or argument, in the sense of just like, is depicting something inherently bad, right?
Yeah.
Because like should we like anyway, that's a whole other conversation. But I personally think like movies should be able to depict anything as long as there is a reason that is a good reason that's saying something of worth. And a lot of people disagreed with the worth of that.
I feel like it's like reading satire and being like, oh my God, they want us to eat babies.
Yes.
Like, I feel like that's the kind of response that would be like, they just didn't get it.
Yeah.
Or get any piece of what the movie was trying to accomplish. And Jennifer Lawrence acted the shit out of that movie.
She's really great.
Phenomenal.
And also Javier Bardem is also really good in the movie, and he's terrifying without ever being like overtly terrifying at all.
Yes.
He's terrifying. Like it's a very unnerving performance. Yeah. Which is interesting based on like who he's kind of representing in the movie.
Do you think I was going to hate the movie?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how anybody's ever going to respond to a movie, honestly. When I first saw it, I almost immediately got on its wavelength because of the what to me were the obvious like biblical allegories going on. And I was like, okay, this is okay, yeah, this is all fitting together. To me, he does that on purpose. Again, like a lot of people are just like, oh, we get it, it's a metaphor. But my thing was like, I feel like he does it a little bit more heavy-handedly up front on purpose to kind of get you on to kind of try and get you on the wavelength a little bit, to where then he really starts like going full force with it. And just the filmmaking in general, like the movie ramps like no other movie I've ever seen, in terms of like almost like a roller coaster kind of going up the hill, and when it starts going down the hill, man, it is a straight plummet for the final like however many minutes, and it's remarkable. I honestly, I watched it on Mother's Day because I'm a dork, and it was Mother's Day, so I watched it, and then Jenny was like, "Hey, what were you watching last night?" And I was like, "I watched Mother again," and she was like, "Oh," and then she watched it later that day too, which she never does that. Like she doesn't rewatch movies, but she like really digs this movie, and I love that. So it's really great. Again, it is not something that is an easy watch for a number of reasons. But man, I think it's a rewarding one if you kind of go along for the ride with it.
Hey, Javier Bardem is going to play King Triton in the live action Little Mermaid that's coming up, if you're curious.
Cool.
You just went down a really weird rabbit hole, didn't you?
I had to look him up because y'all kept saying his name. I was like, who is that? And I saw his picture. I was like, oh, yeah, it's that guy from Skyfall.
Again, a weird, like...
Yeah. No Country for Old Men.
You would think No Country for Old Men.
Also, No Country for Old Men. Also,
yeah, he was in Skyfall.
Yeah.
Sean, drama film do you think is underappreciated?
Underappreciated. This may be weird, but Logan, I think is a drama that's underappreciated. I think it's incredibly interesting. I think it's really complex. I think it's a really complex modern Western, really, in many ways. And I don't know much about like the source material of the Old Man Logan comics, but I imagine it's got to be pretty close. I think stylistically, because I just thought it was beautiful. I thought it was very raw, and I mean, I think even from the trailer, using "Hurt"
one of the
Johnny
best
Cash.
trailers in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and it
such a great trailer.
It hooked me then, and at that point, I think I was like, this is gonna be great. And anyway, I think it's damn near perfect comic book movie, and I wish it were in the MCU.
Maybe it will.
But yeah, I think I say underappreciated because I don't have a good perception of what other people think about it. But I would imagine that it would be maybe sent to this kind of like relegated almost for being a comic book movie. Maybe there are some people that aren't taking it as seriously as it should be taken because of that, but that's just my assumption, and so that's why I put it as underappreciated. I know it was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, but I think that's it.
When I was talking to Dustin about movies, he told me that Logan should be on the underappreciated list.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he agrees with you. I love that
Very
movie.
cool.
It was
Me
so
too.
good. God, it was so good. And for the record, I did name my son Logan. So
Since it came out, it has been on my to watch list, and I just keep putting stuff above it. And now I feel like I need to go watch it because I've not ever watched it, which is really weird because I have this childlike obsession with Wolverine.
I get that.
So much so that when I was a child, I had a screaming argument with my mom and brother that Wolverine was X-Man. Like he was it, and everyone else was supporting. And so I saw X-Men Wolverine and the Wolverine when they came out, but for some reason the Logan has just I just keep pushing it down, but I need to watch it.
oh,
I've
it's
not seen it.
bring your tissues then.
Yeah,
If you love Wolverine that
it's
much,
great.
it's a
I don't like that. Not gonna watch it.
tissue situation.
If I want to cry again, I'll watch La La Land.
Oh God.
I recently watched that a few days ago. I watched the black and white version of it.
Hmm?
It's fascinating how a movie can like feel almost completely different just when you take out the color. There are some movies that are like that. Famously, Steven Soderbergh did a cut of Raiders of the Lost Ark where he took out the color. And there's just some movies that just totally work in black and white, even though they're in color. And I think that that's one of them. Like it really lends itself well to black and white. And you wouldn't think it would, but it really does. I will say in terms of like critical circles, like it's critically acclaimed.
Okay.
And in terms of,
I take it back.
No. I mean,
Sure.
I do see what you mean in terms of just like, because I honestly think that it would have been nominated Best Picture that year had it not been a comic book movie. I think that about that movie, and I also think that about The Dark Knight. I think that the Academy is just too scared to do that. And even though I think both of those movies would be deserving of that kind of recognition, I think they're afraid to do it.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about the black and white thing, it's already like a dirty, gritty movie, and somehow black and white makes it dirtier to me, like grittier. Like there's a contrast element to it, where the dirt is dirtier. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. It enhances that aspect to me. But anyway.
Did you watch it that way too?
Yeah. I've watched it the black and white version as well.
I have not. I want to do that now.
They also did that with Mad Max Fury Road. They released a black and white version of that too, which you also think wouldn't work very well, but it's awesome.
Probably a
I
similar.
think they're going to do the same thing with Zack Snyder's going to release a second. It's going to be
honestly,
an hour longer as well.
I'm surprised that just so they didn't have to spend the money on the color correction, he was like, my original intention was for this to be in black and white. And so that's why it's in black and white, I swear.
It's going to be 5 hours and 15 minutes this time.
Have you heard the term metaphoraging?
No.
It's where you essentially like you go into a piece of art or just some creative outlet and you forage for a metaphor. Like you basically create a metaphor for what's already existed that maybe wasn't there. Maybe trying to instill some intentionality after the fact. I don't know anything about it. I heard the word today. That's all I know. But I'm just intrigued by it. But that would be I think, an instance where it would be used. I don't know. Zack Snyder strikes me as someone who is like a villain in the metaphoraging world, where he does that exact same thing, but to the detriment of art.
He notices something unintentional and is like, "Oh, I can
Yeah.
make something of that."
I can definitely make that look like it was on purpose.
Like somebody being like, Mr. Snyder, what did you do this in order to talk about like this issue? And him being like, yeah,
Yes,
I did.
That's exactly what I did.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Thank you for knowing that.
Let me quote Ayn Rand. I think he loves Ayn Rand, and Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
one of-
Ayn Rand.
He's
I'm
one
sure
of those.
it's Aunt Rand.
One of those.
Chocolat, Michael.
Aunt Rand. All right, Stacey, drama film that you think is underappreciated.
I think that this film is underappreciated because I rarely meet people who have ever seen it. It is a staple of my childhood, and
We're about to get the Stacey left turn.
Yeah.
what are you talking about?
There's always a Stacey left turn that's just like, what? I'm
And
like,
it usually
what?
involves a staple from her childhood.
Classic.
You guys don't know about government milk?
Those bastards never gave us milk tray. It's cheap.
Oh, government cheese. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Clearly, you're not listening.
I wish we had a Peter King so we could say, can you cut that for Peter King? Those
Yeah.
bastards never gave us milk.
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
Okay.
This movie it's really it's like seedy and gritty. It's about these boys who are like what are you laughing about?
I just need a second to get over those bastards never gave us milk. That's what.
Well,
And I'm thinking like what this is gonna be.
Me too. I was
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like it's called Remember the Titans. About these boys, they're gritty.
okay, well, one of them is like
Goonies.
just like really small. They're in this really small town, and like the leader of the group has to move away.
Footloose.
Do you know the title of the movie?
Yeah, do you want me to tell it to you? Let me explain the plot first, and then
I'm having fun guessing.
Okay. All right.
I'll tell it to you.
All right.
Trey does a really good job of this like cliffhanger thing where you don't know what movie it is, and then when he says it, you're like, oh, that's what I was trying to copy Trey.
He does do that.
Yeah, he's really good at it too. He like hooks you in.
He does stall.
He does hook you in.
So Pete is like the leader of this gang, and he has to move away to Chicago and live with his aunt because it's like I don't remember what happens, but he has to like go stop. He has to go live there in Chicago for a while, and then he gets into a real gang, and they wear two rags, and like it's really gritty. And then he comes back to his hometown, and he does shenanigans, and like his best friend's name is Scott, and Scott has to like ask sorry, Scott has to like really try to figure out what's wrong with Pete. It's just really heartwarming and touching. And this movie was released by hold on, I wrote it down because I don't want to get it wrong. Family Feature Films in 1992, and it's called The Buttercream Gang. And it's just a really good movie.
There's your left turn.
Stacey left turn.
Butter-
I love
The
it.
Buttercream Gang?
I didn't want to laugh. I even practiced.
So when you say gang,
It's an actual.
we're not talking like the Crips, right?
No,
You're
Pete,
talking like the Sugar Creek Gang or the Boxcar Children.
no.
Okay.
Pete joins a gang in Chicago.
A
like
real gang.
gang.
He joins the Crips. He killed a guy.
They steal things and they wear do-rags.
Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure I saw this. So I pulled it up real quick. Here's the initial, just the one-line description. A gang of do-gooders
Oh no.
Do-gooders.
refuses to give up on an old friend who falls in with a bad crowd.
A real gang.
A gang of do-gooders. I don't know. Maybe it's Mandela effect because you've been talking about it, but I swear I remember this movie from my childhood.
Ray, knowing the things I know about your growing up, there's no way you didn't see this movie.
The Buttercream Gang sounds uncomfortably familiar.
Yeah, there's no way you didn't see this
That
movie.
was something else.
There's a widow that falls, and they're like, old widow Jenkins fell in it. And so they like stop baseball practice, and these kids go save old widow Jenkins. It happens multiple times.
So
Multiple times.
Why is she falling?
The baseball coach is just like, okay.
Give her a life alert and let's be done with it.
They all go. And they like climb through a window, and it's like, I don't know.
So you know how when you Google something, it'll show you like the Rotten Tomatoes and the Metacritic and the IMDb and stuff. This one shows you the eBay rating.
Nice.
eBay rating? What does that even mean?
Like it's got a 4.7 out of 5 on eBay.
Wow, high. That's high.
Also,
Okay.
66% on Rotten Tomatoes.
66%
I'm
on Rotten
telling y'all.
Tomatoes.
It is it's an underrated, underappreciated family film from 1992 that I just want to know who else grew up watching this, for one. For two, I want to know who's still loving it. I kind of want to buy it for the children.
I just looked it up on Letterboxd, and I have a
Great.
couple here. One from Ike Turner Bitch says, "It's not what you think it is. Okay, I'll tell you. It's an erotic thriller."
That was not the audience intent. I can tell.
And then a guy named Asher says, and I'm assuming he's referencing the movie here. He says, "Someone telling their friend in a letter that they grew 2 inches should be a federal sex crime."
There's a kid named Elton or Eldon, something like that. Who just
Eldon Flowers.
He randomly goes, "You got the right one, baby." Like the Pepsi.
Are they singing
commercial.
in this?
So
It's from the Pepsi commercial, like when we were kids, remember? For no
Yeah.
damn reason.
So apparently this is a Christian film that was like the dangers of gangs, like for rural kids, for some rural white kids.
It was
Oh my
about
gosh.
stealing treats from like the old man so-and-so's grocery store. Michael, I'm actually kind of shocked you didn't see this growing up.
I may have and put it out of my
Oh
mind.
no. If you saw it growing up, you would not have put it out of your
The
mind.
Buttercream Gang. Don't mess with the Buttercream Gang. You don't want none of that.
I am not a person that watches movies over and over again. Like I have very few that I watch again. But for whatever reason, when we were kids, we watched that tape until it did not work.
And did you ever join a gang?
I didn't. And I think that's why. I mean,
Worked. That's
yeah.
the only reason that you'd never joined a gang.
yeah. And we have each other. And I feel like if old widow Jenkins falls down, we're very prepared to help her.
Buttercreamer.
Yeah. Through and
I
through.
don't know.
That's what they say. They say let's buttercream this.
They don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
No.
At one point in the pandemic, I got super obsessed with makeup tutorials. Like I would hyper focus on makeup. And I don't know why, because I've never been like a makeup girl. But one of them was this lady talking about the Buttercream Gang doing makeup. And I could not stop laughing. It was so nostalgic and great.
That's some weird kind of sexual fetish.
Y'all are missing the point.
I don't think we're getting
What's the point?
Don't do it again. I told you it was very clear. They're also obsessed with treats. They talk about treats a lot. Treats.
What's that? Hey man, what kind of treats do you like?
No, it really is. And
You
then
got any
like
treats? You got
You
any
got any
treats?
treats,
You got any
man?
treats?
I love
like a
treats.
widow.
You got any treats?
Widow Jenkins treats.
I don't need drugs because I got treats. Because again, like when when